Hello friends, great to see y'all again. Today we're going to talk about Pokemon Sword and Shield for the Nintendo Switch. That being said, the first video in this new series is going to focus on Pokemon summaries. Now I'm super excited about this one because this is our first video that's going to be focused on Pokemon Sword and Shield. I recently started playing this game probably like 5 or 6 months back, and one thing I realized is that if you're not a regular Pokemon player, and I mean from Gen 1 straight through Gen 8, there's really a lot to digest and understand within Sword and Shield, especially if you skipped some generations. The last game I played before this was on my Game Boy. We're going to cover every single piece of that 5-page Pokemon summary in this video. So if you're stuck on some of these meanings, you came to the right place. Make sure to use the chapters down in the description because there are going to be a few various sections and you're probably here looking for one specific thing. Alright, so what we're going to do today is go through each of these different pages on the Pokemon summary, and we're just going to talk through what every single piece of text and image means. Alright, so let's start here on page 1. Here is my Rillaboom. This was my original starter Pokemon that I picked for this game. So of course, up in this top section here to the left is where you're going to see your basic information for your Pokemon. This includes the Pokemon's name, which in this summary will be the original. So if you're looking for a nickname, that one's going to be a little farther over to the right up there. Down below that, you're going to be seeing the Pokemon typing. This is where you'll see if your Pokemon's a grass like mine, a water, fire, etc., etc. Now, of course, as you know, this information is useful when you go into battle because specific types of Pokemon are either going to be weak or strong to other different types of Pokemon. Next up, you're going to see the original trainer of your Pokemon. So in this case, it's my original Pokemon. If you do collect a Pokemon in a trade, you're going to see that person's name in there. And then below that is going to be the original trainer's ID number. This information really isn't that meaningful. In that next section below is where you're going to see experience points. The number on the top will be the total accumulated number of experience points that your Pokemon has, and the number right underneath that will be the number of experience points they need to level up to the next level. So as you can see, my Rillaboom is level 100, so that means it's maxed out, which means it has 0 experience points needed to get to its next level. Now, the bar down below that is information that you might not know yet. So as my Rillaboom currently is, it does have a few of these available. So as you can see on the screen here, there's a little icon that looks like a Pokeball that's kind of like split in half. This is the space for icons that will show you the generation and game that that Pokemon originated from. So the icon you're seeing here on my Rillaboom is from Sword and Shield. This is the Sword and Shield Generation 8 icon. There are a number of different origin marks that might come along with your Pokemon. Most of them are going to be this one. However, if you transfer a Pokemon from Pokemon Go, you'll see a different symbol. That one's going to be a little G inside of a circle. There's also other origin symbols like a blue pentagon, which corresponds to Generation 6 Pokemon. So Pokemon X and Y, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Also in this column, as you'll see here, this is currently my first shiny that I got in Sword and Shield without transferring from Pokemon Go. But you'll see down there, alongside the origin icon, is a shiny symbol. So if you see those little red stars, that means your Pokemon is its shiny variant form. This symbol is particularly handy for a new generation game because all of the new Pokemon in this generation, you may or may not have ever seen their shiny form. So if you're catching something for the first time and you see that, that means you've got a shiny. And it also means you're really lucky. And finally, also in this area here, you might see a symbol for something called pokérus. Now this is something very, very rare in the Pokemon games, and it's basically a virus that can spread from Pokemon to Pokemon. So if a Pokemon has this virus, it's actually good because it just means that when it battles, it's going to get double the stat increases that it normally would. I unfortunately have not found any Pokemon with this virus yet, so we just popped that icon on there for your visual. If you're someone who likes to hunt for super rare things, this is an element of the game that you should go after. Getting this virus from a wild Pokemon is a 1 in 21,845 chance. I'm not going to go into the full details of this virus, but it is very contagious, and if one of your Pokemon get it, a lot of your other Pokemon will get it, or you can force them to get it. Okay, next up, these symbols over to the right, which you may or may not use. If you aren't a user of these symbols, you'll see them mostly grayed out here. Now these symbols are basically your own personal tagging system. You can go into an individual Pokemon from the Pokemon's box, and when you open that little menu of summaries on each Pokemon, you'll see the option to change Pokemon markings. This is where you can manipulate these shapes and colors. Now, out in the Pokemon battling world, there are some kind of standard symbol typings that people use. For example, one of the shapes might be a certain color. If a Pokemon has a specific type of IV, that's really, really high. So if you trade Pokemon and you get them with these symbols, it could correspond to that. It could also just be something really random that a Pokemon trainer made for themselves. For example, right now I'm using this tagging system to highlight Pokemon that I know I'm going to breed. So for the different Pokemon I find that have optimal breeding stats, I've just given it a blue circle. Really simple, but it helps me know exactly what Pokemon I need to use for breeding. And then just below that, you're going to see the held item information. As you can see here on my Rillaboom, he's holding a Miracle Seed. So this held item boosts the power of grass type moves, which is why I gave it to Rillaboom. He's a grass Pokemon. And throughout the game, you can either choose an item to give to your Pokemon, or sometimes wild Pokemon will come holding an item. So that spot right down there is where you're going to find that information on if they have one, if they don't have one, or if you add one to it, what it is. Okay, and now we switch over to Butterfree to just talk about a few more really simple stats that are at the top right of the profile above the Pokemon's image. So that first Pokeball icon is going to be the type of Pokeball that your Pokemon was caught in. This one was caught in a regular Pokeball, so we see the regular Pokeball icon. If you caught it in a Great Ball, an Ultra Ball, or any other type of ball, you'll see that icon up there. Right next to that, you see that my Butterfree has that little X icon. This is a Gigantamax icon. Now, I caught this Butterfree in a Dynamax raid, so it came along with the ability to Gigantamax. If you're not familiar with Gigantamax, all that means is that when it Dynamaxes, basically it has a whole different form instead of just growing to be a larger form of the same Pokemon. So these are absolutely cool to have, and you can find most of those in Dynamax raids and adventures. Just always look out for that X symbol. And then, of course, right next to that is going to be the Pokemon's name or nickname. If you've given it a nickname, it will be there. I have not nicknamed this Butterfree. Next to that, you'll see the level your Pokemon is at, and then finally the gender of your Pokemon. If your Pokemon has no gender, there will not be a symbol there, so that's a good way to tell whether or not your Pokemon's gendered. These symbols come in really handy if you want to breed. For breeding, you're going to need a female and a male to breed, unless you use a Ditto, that's a whole other story. And then, of course, as you probably know, most Pokemon have different versions for male and female, so this is just kind of a helpful visual tool to see what the differences are between the genders of Pokemon. Now let's talk about page 2. This is where you're going to find the Pokemon's base stats, or what is more commonly referred to as effort values, or EVs. So essentially, these are the stats of your Pokemon that you can manipulate, that you can grow, that you can change by doing different things like battling, giving it items, etc., etc. So let's quickly just go counterclockwise over these different stats. So the one at the very top is your HP stat. That means your hit points. This is essentially the health stat of your Pokemon. It determines how much life your Pokemon will have when you go into a Pokemon battle. So it's going to be that bar that you have that lowers and lowers and lowers as you get hit. The higher this number is, the more damage a Pokemon's going to be able to take in battle. Next is going to be your attack stat. This stat corresponds to how much physical damage your Pokemon can do in battle. And then down to your defense stat, which is how much physical damage your Pokemon can take. Next up is going to be your speed. This stat determines when your Pokemon can strike in battle. So if the speed is really high, chances are your Pokemon's always going to go first in battles. This stat can be really useful if you have a move that you know can feint a Pokemon in one hit. You're going to want to go first with that move and not worry about taking any physical attacks yourself. Now over to the other side of the clock, the first stat we have is special defense. This number is really similar to your defense stat, except it specifically refers to special attacks. So this is the amount of damage your Pokemon will take when another Pokemon uses a special attack against you. Now the next stat on our chart is also special attack. So this stat determines how much damage your special attacks will inflict. We'll get into special attack versus regular attack on the next page. Now, additionally, within this hexagon, if you push the X button, it gives you the ability to see the advanced version of these statistics. Now, these advanced details are going to help you understand what stats of your Pokemon can continue to grow and which ones are maxed out. This is where things get really, really complex, so this is going to have to be for a whole other video, but if you're someone who's really into stats, make sure you look at those advanced stats. Another thing you're going to notice on this hexagonal data is that one of these stats is going to be red and the other one's going to be blue. So in a nutshell, whatever stat you see that's red colored means that has a 10% boost on it. If it's blue, it has a 10% decrease. And we'll discuss where that comes from and what that means in another page. So then we go down just a little and you're going to see your Dynamax level. So on this Dynamax level section, there's going to be 10 bars. You'll either see them blank or colored in. So basically this bar shows you how strong your Pokemon is going to be when it's Dynamaxed. And this specifically corresponds to the HP increase that you get when you Dynamax your Pokemon. And each one of these bars represents a 10% increase. So you can up to double the HP of your Pokemon if you have a full 10 level Dynamax bar. Now this is a permanent stat and you can change these stats by giving your Pokemon a Dynamax candy. Dynamax candies come from raiding. So for each Dynamax candy that you give your Pokemon, it will go up 1 level until you hit 10, and if you try to give your Pokemon a Dynamax candy after that, you're gonna get a little pop-up that says it won't have any effect. Then we scooch down just a little to ability. So every Pokemon that you find is going to have its own ability. Across Pokemon species, usually there's about a pool of 2 that your Pokemon is going to have, which means there's a massive amount of abilities across the entire series of Pokemon. So we won't cover those, but as you can see here, my Rillaboom's ability is Overgrow. And right below that, you'll get the description of what that ability specifically does for your Pokemon. So as you can see, this special ability does affect your Pokemon in some specific way, so make sure to check that out and see how you can use that ability to your advantage when you're out battling. Okay, so now we're on to page 3, which is going to be the movesets page. Most of this is pretty self-explanatory, so we'll breeze through it here. The 4 bars that you see up at the top left are the different moves that your Pokemon currently knows. In each individual bar, you'll see the name of the attack, the typing the attack is, and then the power points of each move. So the first number is going to be how many power points are left on your Pokemon's move currently, and the total amount of power points that it has. So if your Pokemon has been actively in battle, that first number is most likely going to be lower than the second one. Now, if you go ahead and click into any of those moves, it will pull up additional information about the move. So now down at the bottom left, you see that there's a category and there's going to be a little symbol right next to that category. This explosion looking symbol means that it's just a physical move. So now looking back to our EV stats, this corresponds to attack. So if you use this move in battle, your regular attack stats are going to be what determines how hard this move is going to hit. Now the 2 stats below that, power and accuracy, are the base stats for that particular move. Now something that I think can easily get confused is that these are not actually percentages. So if you see a move, for example, that says 100 for accuracy, that does not mean that that has a 100% chance of hitting. That just means that the base stat of that move is 100. This can be manipulated, for example, if your opponent has some sort of item or has used a move that reduces the accuracy of your moves. In that scenario, the accuracy of your moves are going to drop from that base stat, which is 100. Now in the game, there are moves that do have 100% accuracy, but you're going to want to look out for those in the description just below the move. So if it is a move that's going to have 100% accuracy, it will say in the description, this move never misses. Now, of course, in addition to those stats, it is kind of important to read the description down below because sometimes you'll see that it can inflict damage on your own Pokemon. Alright, so now we've moved down just a few moves into Frenzy Plant, and you'll see here that that icon is a little bit different. So this circle, oval looking thing is the special move symbol. So like we talked about earlier, in the EV stats, you have a different type of attack versus special attack. When you see this circular symbol, that means that move is considered a special attack. So using that move is going to affect the opposing Pokemon's special defense stat, and how much power it deals is going to be slightly determined by your special attack stat. And then finally, the third category of move type is a status move. So it's going to be that yin-yang looking thing. If you see that, that means it's a status move, which means it's only going to affect the other Pokemon's status. So for example, it could be a move that paralyzes your opponent. It could be a move that increases your special attack. So basically, this is a move that isn't going to deal any physical damage in that turn, but it will affect any future moves, in a nutshell. Okay, next up on page 4 is where you're going to find details about your Pokemon's nature. Now, every single Pokemon is going to have a specific nature. And what this nature does is it affects the stats of your Pokemon. So you'll remember that earlier we talked about how there's a red stat and a blue stat in that EV's chart. So those increases and decreases come from the Pokemon's nature. So in the game, there are 25 different natures that a Pokemon can have. I'm not going to go over them in this video, but I'm going to put a link down in the description for a really awesome chart that shows you what the different natures do and what stats they each affect. So this stat basically does come permanently to your Pokemon. There are ways to manipulate this stat in the game by giving it different items, but again, that's for a whole other video. So learning a little bit more about the natures of different types of Pokemon can really help you to find your perfect Pokemon when you're out hunting. So if this is your thing, make sure that you're paying attention to a Pokemon's nature. Finally, one more fun tidbit about the nature of your Pokemon is that it also decides the type of curry that it likes in Sword and Shield. So that same chart that's linked down below also shows what nature corresponds to what curry a Pokemon's going to like. Now, in addition to the nature on this page, you're also going to find details on when and where you first met that Pokemon. As you can see here on my Rillaboom, I met this Pokemon in Postwick. It was my original starter. That's why it's nicknamed the OG. It also shows what level the Pokemon was at when you first caught it, and then that very last sentence in this description page represents the Pokemon's characteristic. So this is another stat that every single Pokemon is going to have. And this characteristic just corresponds with the Pokemon's highest IV stat. So as you may or may not know, IV stats are completely different from EV stats. These are things that come with the Pokemon that cannot be manipulated or changed. And then finally, that last page is going to be for ribbons and marks. So essentially what you see here are badges that your Pokemon have earned either through achievements or the types of ways that you've caught them. Now there are a lot of different ribbons and marks that your Pokemon can get. If you're interested in seeing those, I've also linked another link down in the description from Cerebi.net with a super comprehensive chart on the different types of ribbons and marks available and how you can get them. Now, of course, if you click into any of the ribbons on your Pokemon, you'll get some more details on what they actually mean. So here my Rillaboom has a best friends ribbon. This ribbon you get when you increase your friendship with your Pokemon to best friends. You have to go to a specific place and talk to a little kid and they'll tell you whether or not your Pokemon is your best friend or lower. When you click into these different ribbons, you'll see that there's a description of the ribbon, where it was obtained, and then you'll see that it also says name with this ribbon. So what that means is occasionally a specific ribbon will give your Pokemon kind of a nickname that's announced when it goes into battle. So again, there's tons of different names that come with different marks and ribbons, and you can check that down in the link in the description. Okay, so that is going to do it for our overview of the Pokemon summaries within Sword and Shield. Now there are a lot more complexities to this game which can be talked about in detail, so I'm probably going to make some further videos including focusing on different curries, maybe delving a little bit deeper into breeding, all of the different Pokemon evolutions. We'll see. So if you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please let me know with a like or a comment. I want to see what people think about these Sword and Shield videos. And of course, let me know if there's anything I missed or any other questions that you may have regarding the information found in these 5 pages in the Pokemon summaries. And lastly, thanks for being here, thanks for watching this video. I really do hope that it helped you. If you enjoy videos like this, tutorials, recaps, event information, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We also do Pokemon Go, Animal Crossing, and other various gaming and travel vlogs here and there. So I hope you all have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Have an awesome one.